Hi, this is Mike Shue back with Michael T. Shue Studios. I just wanted to do a very brief video here, just a couple minutes long here, talking about the different centers that you'll find for your lathes. These are just some examples that I have on hand, the ones that I use most often. Over here on the far right, this is a 60-degree live center with a bearing live center. You can see I use this quite a bit and have ground ridges into it all over the place now. Probably should buy a new one. But this is my go-to live center because it does have a 60-degree taper on the tip, which will mate perfectly with the end of a pin mandrel if you're still using a pin mandrel, or it will fit into the holes that I drill in my blank when I need to true them, and also turning between centers bit bushings that I'll go over again later. This second one is the live center that comes with it when you buy a wood lathe. Again, it's a bearing live center, but you'll notice that it's got a cup here and then a small taper. This is meant only for turning wood blanks when you're contacting the wood. You do not want to use this with your pin mandrel. If you're using the pin mandrel again, it will destroy the end of the pin mandrel and also the center spur of the center here, which actually you can probably see that I have destroyed this one. This was actually off my first lathe, which was a low Turncrafter lathe, and when I got rid of it, I actually included the center from my Grizzly and kept the old one just because I don't use it very often anymore. The next item here, this is a 60-degree dead center. This is a Morris 2 dead center. You can see it's a solid piece of metal. It's got the 60-degree angle taper up here, again to fit the pin mandrel. Well, you wouldn't use this with a pin mandrel, but it would fit the turning between centers bushings as well as the 60-degree holes that I drill in my blanks when I'm truing them. This item is a Spur Center. This is on the one that came with my lathe. Again, this is intended for use in a wood blank. You've got a spur in the middle, but you also have gripping blades along the outside, and this is why I switch it over to the dead center, because these blades, if they're in the blank when you're turning them and you get a catch, will damage the end of the blank, because the blank is now stopped, but this center is going to keep turning. So all of a sudden you've got these blades spinning against your blank, whatever blank that is, and causing damage. When you get that same catch on the dead center, there's nothing to cause any damage, because suddenly it just starts spinning and you just have a point spinning in the blank. And this last item over here is actually a 60-degree dead center again, but it's got a straight shank on it. And actually, I got this from a buddy of mine who sells some turning tools, and he had some live centers that were not good centers, and he needed to he wasn't comfortable selling them as live centers, so he dismantled them, and when he did, they had nice straight shanks on them, so he was able to sell them as 60-degree dead centers for use in collet chucks. So you can see this one slides nicely into this collet chuck, or this collet, and this is what I use 90% of the time now. Since I leave my collet chuck in my lathe all the time, I can simply switch out and switch to a dead center just by sliding it into a collet. If I did not have this particular one, I would be swapping back to my regular dead center. But I'm fortunate enough to have been able to get one of those. I do not know of anyone that makes these, and I do not know if he honestly has any more available for sale at this time. I occasionally see people discuss having some made up for them. Shouldn't be too difficult. I've seen some people who have taken a standard dead center and used a metal lathe to straighten the shank at least part way so that they can use it in a collet chuck. I do recommend it if you are able to find one. That's it for now, and tomorrow we will come back to working on a pen.